Hey guys, welcome back. This is ChosenArchitect, and as you can see behind me, we are going to be diving deeper into Pneumaticcraft and getting ourselves into the refinery. So, I hope you guys are ready. So, here we are where we left off last in Pneumaticcraft, where we're going to start talking about the refinery or the processing unit. Both of these are going to be things that we're going to talk about today. The refinery is definitely one of them. But before we can even get started with the refinery, we're going to need ourselves some oil because the refinery actually utilizes oil. If you take a look here, it utilizes oil. It says from immersive petroleum. I believe it doesn't matter which type of oil. Yeah, it accepts crude oil right here. So crude oil is what we're going to be producing. But as you can see, it does also accept the immersive petroleum. Later on, you can buy oil, but for right now, through the mod, we have to kind of produce oil elsewhere. So to get started, we need to first make oil. Then we'll run it through here with a little bit of heat. It requires some heat, as you can see, and it's going to separate it into three different types of things: diesel, kerosene, and LPG. LPG is sort of what we're really wanting, because LPG is going to go through a processing plant with a little bit of fuel, and it's going to create liquid plastic for 100 LPG. The liquid plastic is then going to be used inside of a plastic mixer. And this is how we're going to get plastic that is going to be required for pretty much everything else in Pneumaticcraft, right? So we have to at least get to this point. And it's kind of an interesting process. So we're going to go through that process here in a minute. I already have my magmatic crucible. I went ahead and got the upgrades here. I also probably need to get the augments as well. I'm just going to use the speed auxiliary. This is going to speed this up. We're going to be able to make two of them, or use two of them. There we go. And we're also going to need the crude, or we're going to need oil shale. We have a couple different types of oil shale. All of these will work. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to burn this inside of the magma crucible. So I'm going to grab a chest as well, because we're just going to place this on here, and that's how we're going to get the automation started. Now, we do need a way to run the fluid in here. I think the best way to do that is just to set the refinery up so that way this guy is going to be pumping it directly into the bottom and kind of using that as how we go forth. So I can kind of set the refinery up here. And what I was meaning is I can place our power source down here. On the side, we can go ahead and actually place our chest, because this is how it's going to be set up. Let's go ahead and break this. We'll place our chest here. This is the chest that's going to provide our magma crucible. We'll place the magma crucible here. I'm going to go ahead and just uncheck everything that's on here. This is going to be our input side, and the top is going to be our output for this, and we'll set that to auto input and output. We'll slap on our kits, and I should be able to throw the two augments in as well. And since this is generating power, I can just go ahead and throw the shale in there. And also, if I take this out, you can see it's going to refill. Bam. We are producing oil. Quite a bit, actually. So let's go ahead and work on making the refinery. The refinery needs to be 3 tall, because as we've seen, it's going to be producing 3 different materials. So if we place this here, and here, and here, the crude oil is going to go in here, and now we have 3 slots. If we have another one, we could technically have that, but if we remember, we looked at the crude oil, and we noticed that it's only going to produce 3 things. Crude oil is going to produce kerosene, diesel, and LPG. It's not going to produce anything else. And over here, this is diesel, kerosene, gasoline, and LPG. I really don't know why there's multiples, unless maybe if that was set up if we did have a 4th one. I have no idea. But for right now, this should work. Now, this is really cold. It's not really going to work. I'm also going to disconnect all of these, and we're going to ignore this for right now, because this is something that we're going to utilize later on. I should be using my wrench, shouldn't I? Alright, so, what? Oh, it's just pressure coming out of that. I was like, where's all the pressure going? All right, we're probably actually gonna as well need to make another one of these. And we have a couple of other machines that we're also going to need to produce as well. So let's go ahead and get these kind of set. Well, we'll set those up after we get what we need. We need these vortex tubes. That's what's going to apply the heat to this. So let's go ahead and make some vortex tubes. We're going to need 2 of them, I think, will work fine for right now. If we need to make more, we'll worry about that. And then we're also going to need heat sinks, 2 of those as well. This is going to help disperse the temperature. So here in a second, we're going to be converting pneumatic power into heat power. So when we place this, you can see there's 2 different sides. One was red and one was blue. So let's go ahead and place that the direction that the heat is on. We're going to do the same over here. Place that one, the side that the heat is facing. And then we're going to place the heat sink on this side, just like that. And that is going to allow the heat to disperse, or the cold to disperse on this side more evenly. And this should be able to heat this up. We can also use iron blocks, I believe. And if we sort of surround this thing with iron blocks, it will help this process go a lot faster. Just like that. Right? And later on we can break those blocks and we'll be able to see what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and place a couple of these. I think 2 of these will work. If we place a tube here, yes, that will work. We'll throw that in there. And I'm also going to go ahead and make a couple more of these security upgrades, because I don't want my stuff breaking on me. There we go. And that will replace our levers that were needed. So security upgrade in here and in here. That should prevent these from exploding. And you should start to see this is going to get a little bit hotter. And that should translate to this thing getting up to its max temperature. You can see right here, the problems is we don't have enough heat to start this converting. But we should, at this point, start to see that it is now up to temperature with this little setup. And you can see this going on up here. I actually might remove this and place this down here. And then we'll just utilize this up here to be able to see what's going on. And you can see we're starting to produce a little bit of LPG. That is exactly what we want. So we have a couple of other machines to make. And that is going to be the thermopneumatic processing plant. Yes, there's a lot to this. Thermopneumatic processing plant and also a plastic mixer. Perfect. All right, so we're going to be pretty much pulling a couple of things out of here. So I'm actually going to make some barrels. Actually, let's go into... It's called a drum, maybe? Yeah, a drum. There we go. So we're going to have a couple of different drums. Should be 3 different types, because we're going to be pulling fluid out of here. And we're going to have 3 different types of fluids. Let's get some fluid conduit. Do I have access for more of these? Perfect, we do. Okay. So, with that in mind, we should be able to set up a couple of different drums here. That should help us out. I'm going to place this here. For right now, the insert needs to be off on all of them. This will be set on extract, always active. I'll set this to insert. That's pulling out LPG. And I want this to sort of pull out all the LPG, leaving this to be something else. Okay, so that's starting to put LPG in there as well. So I don't want that. So there we go. We'll pull that out. If we had our upgraded, if we had some upgraded conduit, we could kind of specify this a little bit easier. I think the top is actually the one that's only going to output LPG, so we might actually be lucky on that one. So that's insert. That should also pull out of here. Okay. So yeah, I think the top is only LPG. If that's the case, I'm going to go ahead and pull that, set that there. And then right here, we're going to set up drums that are going to be for different things. I should have another drum. Did I only make 2? What? Oh, there's the other one. Okay, so that'll allow us to remove this back piece here. The top is that. We'll have a drum here and a drum here. Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and just pull the stuff out. Let's get a Yeta wrench to break the connection there. We'll set that to extract always active. That should insert. And that's still pulling out LPG. So that shouldn't be pulling out LPG. It should be pulling out... What is in this pipe? Don't actually know. That's another problem that we probably should... that should not be LPG. Alright, so I guess that's just how we're going to be pulling this out. I don't know why, but later on we're going to have to specify what is coming out of here, of course. Because this should be sending out diesel, kerosene, and LPG. It should always go to the first available slot. I thought that's what it was supposed to do. Instead, it's filling multiple containers. So yeah, if we take a look here, as I'm highlighting each one of these tanks, this is LPG at the top, kerosene here, diesel here. So this should technically be diesel that we pull from the bottom. So if I set this extract always active, there we go. Now that's diesel. I set that here. I think the reason that was happening is because there was still an excess of LPG that was in this tank. As you can see now it's completely empty. And then this one will be kerosene. There we go. Now it's set up properly. And then this should be LPG. I'm actually going to remove this and I'll place it in line with everything else. Yes, and then this, always active, LPG. Awesome. So here are all of our excess parts. We can even throw that back on there. And there we go. Perfect. So I'm wondering on the temperature requirement. Oh, so, okay. So the temperature is going up, which means it should be producing it actually at a faster, even faster rate. So yeah. So now that we have this, we actually need to carry over some of this to this thermopneumatic processing plant. To do that, we actually need to send some pressure into this thing. Don't remember which side gets pressure. I think it's on these sides, I do believe. As you can see, it does require a little bit of pressure and temperature. Okay. So we'll see how it receives pressure. So that way it should receive pressure. We'll give it a little bit of coal. Okay, so pressure is going up. But we also need to feed this thing some heat. As I do believe it needs to hit a certain temperature. We'll have to see. But we also need to go ahead and start to send this over to it. Alright, so we'll set this up. Extract always active. That'll send LPG into here. And I think LPG inside this needs coal. So we have some coal here. If we throw regular coal in here, it needs a temperature requirement of 100. So this one, again, is going to need sort of the same setup that this one has. Actually, I think we might be able to get away with one tube. We'll see. So if we remember, this needs to go in a specific direction, like that. We can place a heatsink here. Not there, sorry. It actually needs to go on the cold side. And then we'll just hook up another can of air to it, per se, like that. There we go. Now these don't have security managers on them, but we should start to see the heat sort of increase. And I'm hoping that this can actually get hot enough to get it to the temperature it needs. But once it does get to that temperature, that's where our plastic mixer will come in handy. It's like the plastic mixer. We can throw that here for right now. These also have temperatures. If you put the this actually needs to be cooled down, surprisingly. But this will be how we get our stuff over to the plastic mixer. So yeah, this might reach the temperature. 90, 91. I think this will work. Given that this actually stays pressurized, one should do the trick. Yeah, there we go. So you can see right here, that's going to make liquid plastic. And then we'll set this to always extract, always active. And you can see now we have liquid plastic building up. And we can now start to sort of progress further into Pneumaticcraft. All of that advanced craziness going on with Pneumaticcraft in order to get some liquid plastic. But we are producing it pretty fast, so I'm not going to lie. That's actually a really quick way of doing it. And inside of our chest here, we still have quite a bit of oil shale. We haven't even went through much. So yeah. So what we can do is we can just let this stuff build up. These tanks are quite large. That will hold, of course, right now we're out of LPG, so these things will hold 16. And one bucket worth, or 1,000 millibuckets, will support one of these different colors. We are going to need red dye, green dye, and blue. I believe it was lapis, right? Yeah. So if you throw these in here, you can see it fills up our color bar on the inside. And now we can select any of these, and to lock the selection would allow you to automate the process. So if you wanted it to automatically be pulled out, you could select what you would want to actually, the colors to be pulled out. But we don't really want that, as right now, we really need to focus on, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe getting the tablet would be useful. These require gray and red in order to get this tablet. But the tablet also requires you to have a little bit more pressure. And all of these other things that later on down the road, this is not as important, but you still do need the Amadron tablet. So I'm thinking maybe, yeah, we should probably push for this. I think that this is going to be necessary, because inside here is how you get your PCB blueprint. And I don't think you can make a light box without the PCB blueprint. I don't think you can craft it. Yeah. It's either you find a villager or you use 8 emeralds to buy it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we need 7 gray and 4 red. And that's it. 7 gray and 4 red. So 7 gray, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the red. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. So now that we have the plastic, we can actually start working on making the drone. So inside here, we're going to need that. We're missing glass. I was missing it, just like literally glass panes. All right, so that'll make us our GPS tool. And then we also need this guy, which is an air canister, which apparently holds 10 bars. And it said that it needs to be completely full. 10 bars can be discharged by a charging station used in the... okay. So that we're probably going to have to potentially use some upgrades. The volume upgrades. This right here is probably what we're going to have to use. Well, this actually shows it's charged as well. I don't know if that's something we need. If it actually needs to be fully charged or not. I guess we're gonna have to find that out. Okay, so moving on. We need to figure the rest of this out. So let's go ahead and just see if we can't make this tablet without it having any charge. Oh, yeah, it doesn't need a charge. It's just kind of a visual thing. Okay, so this tablet is really important, by the way. Let's grab our charger. We can just tap into any of these lines. Like this, for example. And that'll get a little bit of charge going into this. That guy, we're going to need a few emeralds. I think it was 8. And we're also going to need a couple of chests. So after you go ahead and get your chest set up, you can go ahead and just place it down. We are also going to probably need a drum. Let's see, we can really use any kind of tank. Like an Ender IO tank that's empty would be nice as well. There we go. We can set that there. Perfect. I'm going to place this right beside it. What we're going to have to do is go ahead and get our tablet. This has a little bit of pressure in there now. And what we could do is we'll shift here and here. And when we hold these are going to set this chest as your basically your input and receiving delivery slot for items. And this will be your slot for sending and receiving fluids. Or vice versa. You can also put stuff in here to receive fluids, or put stuff in fluids in here to receive items. So let's take a look at the items that we can actually get. One thing is a PCB blueprint. That's the main one that we need. So let me go ahead and get 8 emeralds for this. We'll go ahead and place the emeralds in the chest. If I open this up, I can left click on here to set this to 1. You could set this to more if you had more items, but I'm going to go ahead and hit place order. You could do multiple things, by the way. And what you're going to see is this lovely Amazon drone show up, pick up the emeralds. This is so cool. Oh, and we have an explosion. But you can see, you pick up the emeralds, and then what's going to happen is you're going to have another guy show up right here. And it's going to drop off exactly what we needed, which is that PCB blueprint. I need to go over here. I guess it was just the cable. It was just the cable that broke. We're okay. We're good. Actually need to replace that because that's producing plastic for us. But yeah, now we have a PCB blueprint. This is what we're going to use to actually make a UV light box. Let's go ahead. UV light box. We're going to need some redstone lamps. And voila, a UV light box. And this is going to be used later on. Yep. There is going to be a few more steps that we have to do. All right. Pressurized tubes. Be nice if we had tubes that held more power, but unfortunately, that's just not how it is. Okay. So, with that done, we can also send fluids to here. So, if we wanted to put crude oil in here, what we could do is we could go, okay, I want to order some crude oil. Or just not, actually, I think it's just regular oil. Right here. Maybe it doesn't accept this as a tank. Because it's not showing that it's in there. Let's try this again. Yeah, it's not accepting that as a tank. So this might actually not work as a form of tank. Let's try a drum, for example. We place the drum down. We can set this. There we go. And now, will it work? There we go. So we can now order, like, I don't know, let's do 6 buckets of oil. It's going to take six emeralds out of the 47. It's going to come, pick those up, fly away, which is so cool. And then bring us some oil and drop it in here. This thing is really cool. You can also set up items, I believe, with trades. You can set up like custom trades if you're on a server. But yeah, look at that. And it just come and dropped off 6 buckets, 6,000 millibuckets of oil, just like that. And this is ways that you can also spend oil, like resources. If you're generating tons of resources over here, you can use that to make emeralds, which is really great. It'll actually drain tanks. And I've actually played packs where there's custom recipes here. But you can see we do have access to these upgrades and things like that. And all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, look at this. We have dripping cones that we can get, the special cones. All kinds of goodies that are in here. Roots has a couple of items that is in here. Also, some of these trades actually change. We have mystical worlds that's in here that we can get venison from if you kill some deer. But yeah, these trades do change every now and then, if I remember correctly. I think depending on the day, like each day, you could get some different trades. But overall, this is one of my favorite parts, is when we get involved with some drones. And you can actually do drones yourself. Because there are drones in here. And you can see right here, an airborne robot which performs logistic tasks. Logistic frames are used to define these tasks. And we would, of course, have to get into the logistics frames. But here in a little bit, we're going to start focusing on how we're going to actually process and start making printed circuit boards and things of that nature. Because printed circuit boards are required for us to get into the pneumatic assembly tasks. So to be able to make these assembly components, as you can see, each one needs a printed circuit board. And to make a printed circuit board has a few tasks that you have to go through in order to make. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, you guys know what to do. Don't forget to click that subscribe button. Next episode, we're going to be jumping in to some more Pneumaticcraft and sort of finishing up as we start working on those PCBs. Guys, I really appreciate it. All the comments, I've absolutely loved it. You guys are absolutely amazing. Guys, I will see you in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching.